Have you ever felt like loving your family means sacrificing yourself? Let's talk about that.
Hey, this is Francisca, and this is my mid-crisis life. Um, so I made a video the other day where I was talking about my mom. Obsessed with my mother, clearly. Um, and I was talking about a lot of the messed up stuff that she did throughout my childhood, and trying to, I guess, like reconcile this feeling of dissatisfaction. I would say it is. I was going to say hate, but it's not hate. Dissatisfaction, injustice, unfairness, at the way that she treated me and the fact that I continue to still be loving. And I spoke about, and I'll put the video up here, but I spoke about like my decision to move forward with love. So deciding that, or remembering that the reason that I choose to continue to be loving is not for her, but actually it's for me. And it's so that I don't become bitter, I don't become twisted, I don't become a broken person who really just like repeats that generational trauma. And it's a big long video, so I'm really trying to surmise it right here, which is difficult. But if you want to watch the video, I'll put it up, right? But that's the gist of it. And at the end of the video, I said, or at some point in the video, I was talking about, it's just really important to move forward with love. You got to move forward with love. God, this is itchy. Ugh. Let's do that. Yeah, there we go. Just to move forward with love, to remember that love is the most important thing, that being loving and being kind is the most important thing. Otherwise, I've just become her, basically, in a nutshell. Anyway, I made a decision after I had that breakdown in my car and called you know, 6 different people to complain and to scream about how infuriating it was to give love to someone who was incapable of giving love back, and for that person to have absolutely no recognition that this is what you're doing for them, that you're choosing every single day to show up and love this person, even though they have not chosen a day where they can do that for you. No, she loves me in her own way, yada yada, right? Anyway, I left the car, and because I decided, right, I'm gonna be loving, I'm the loving one. I went back and I walked into the house and I immediately said, "Hey mum, listen, I'm really sorry. I'm really sorry for shouting at you. I shouldn't have done that. I'm really sorry for losing my temper." And my mum said, "Okay." Anyway, I was talking to my cousin about it, and she was just like, "Why did you do that?" Right. And I was like, "Because I choose love, cousin. I choose love." And she was like, "Yeah, you can choose love, like, but really what you're doing is you're still trying to get that response from your mum. That's that's all you want to do. You just want her to say, 'Yes, I'm sorry too.' Because deep down underneath it all, I love and respect you, and I am gonna love you in the way that you need to be loved. And I am also sorry. Let's reconcile our differences. Let's talk about our feelings, and let's sing Kumbaya together in the garden around a nice fire that I have chopped and splintered for you." She said to me, "Fran, listen, you can be loving without having to cave. Because, there's entitlement, this entitlement of respect that, well, I mean, it's my cousin, right? So it's my mother's sister's child, that everyone on that side of the family has this kind of entitlement of like, no, you will respect me and you will show me love, irrespective of what I do, irrespective of how I treat you, irrespective of how I show up for you, you must show up for me. And she was like, you're just fueling it. You're fueling it. And you're fueling it because you're still desperate for her to acknowledge you and to give you what it is that you need. And it made me think about this thing that I always talk about in terms of self-love and boundaries, and the fact that boundaries aren't about trying to keep people out. They're not about trying to stop someone from breaching your boundaries. They're about you crossing your own boundaries. So I talk about it in the sense of like, this is you and these are your boundaries. And every time someone asks you to do something, i.e., can you help me out? Can you take me somewhere? Can you lend me some money? Can you put up with the devastating way that I treat you? You make a decision yourself. Am I going to engage? And if you do, you move from that central position and now you move that much further to your boundaries. And then someone may say, can you do something else? And you'll move that much further to your boundaries. And then someone will say, can you do something else? And oh, you've crossed your boundary. And it's kind of like, this is your choice. It's your choice to breach your own boundaries by choosing to do something that once you've gone past that boundary, you're no longer loving yourself. Whilst inside that circumference, that is your circumference of self-love. And it is you that moves back and forth to your boundaries. It's not people that come and breach them. It's you that steps over the edge of it and does something and says to that person, I am going to love you more than me. I'm going to put your needs in front of my own. I'm going to harm myself and I'm going to breach my own boundaries and come out of a place where I am loving myself in order to love you most. And it's like, it's a tricky thing, right? Because sometimes people need that, right? Sometimes people need for you to put them first. But the thing is that I can love my mum and I can accept her for who she is and accept her limitations in terms of how she loves me, whether she's able to love me. And I can still love her and I can still meet her where she is without having to cross my own boundaries and go and apologize. I can still be loving towards my mum without me having to acknowledge that to her. And you know, the funny thing is that since that day, I would say that my attitude has slightly shifted, and that now I'm more protecting my boundaries. So rather than pandering, rather than people pleasing, rather than fawning over my mum, which gives her a sense of power and only but fuels her sense of entitlement, I've kind of let it go. I'm just like, you know what? If you're not going to be nice to me, okay, cool. I'm not going to be horrible to you, but I'm also not going to go out of my way to try and be nice to you and call it loving. It's not loving. Actually, it's just pandering. And you know, the funny thing is that ever since I started doing that, she's been nicer to me. Imagine that. It's just so fucked up. Like, that is so fucked up. I'm not really trying to get into the minutiae of that whole dynamic. But it is just interesting that now that I have asserted my boundaries, like, for example, I have an older brother, and he doesn't really engage with his family much. He's kind of just doing his own thing. Like, I had to remind him that it was both his nephew's birthdays, and his response to that was, "Well, thanks so much for only giving me a day's notice." And I'm like, it's been 14 years, bro. You think that you would have learnt your nephew's birthday by now? Like, how are you putting it back on me that you haven't got him anything because I've only given you a day's notice? It's like, learn his birthday. And his answer to that was, does he know my birthday? It's just like, bro, come on. Anyway, so for example, he was supposed to come down to spend time with everybody on the 27th because he was working Christmas Day, he was working Boxing Day. He said on the 27th I'll come down. 27th we was supposed to go see my aunt, and he was supposed to come and meet us there, and then we were going to come home, and then he was going to go watch the Arsenal match. Anyway, he messages me on the 27th and he's like, "Oh, I'm really tired. I don't think I'm going to make it down today." I'm like, all right, cool. What I might do is I might come after the game and I'll stay over, and then I'll spend the whole day with you guys tomorrow. Okay, cool. Anyway, I decided to go see my friend because I was in the middle of an existential crisis. And I get a message from him that same night on the 27th. "Oh, yeah, no, he didn't even message. I didn't hear anything from him until the following day when he told me that he had gone to the game and then gone to a mate's house and stayed there all night and then turned up basically on the 29th or something. And on the 29th, my family had the cheek to be like, well, where are you? Why are you not here celebrating this sacred holiday with the rest of your family? How dare you not put us first?" And it's kind of like, I'm just over it at this point. I just think making sure that I love myself is the most important thing. And I will put in the energy to other people that people invest in me. And if you can't be bothered to learn your own nephew's birthdays, one of them turned 21 and one of them turned 14, and you can't be bothered to get your ass down to the house for 3 consecutive days over the Christmas period, why am I rushing back to come and see you? And I'm hearing myself and I sound like I'm just bitching, but it's not. It's like a evolution. It's an evolution of me understanding that in order to love someone, you don't have to sacrifice, and you don't have to please and try and appease people and then say that it is benevolent, that it's benevolence. It's not. It's sanctimonious, and it creates weird fucking dynamics, and it just frustrates me. And interestingly enough, when I don't do that for other people, people in my family are so fucked up that now they want to invest more time in me. It's so messed up. So I don't know, what would I say? I mean, I want to be careful to say that my advice is not to just like fuck everyone off and play tit for tat and be like, well, if you're not going to give to me, then I'm not going to give to you. But also my advice is to keep yourself in that space of self-love. And you know what? Sometimes that circle is really big and you can encompass everybody else's needs and still be within your own circle of self-love. And sometimes it's really tight and you don't have the space for other people, but it is for you to determine, and it is for you to put yourself first. It is for you to love yourself ultimately above and before loving someone else. And that doesn't mean that you can't love someone else at the exact same time, but it means that the minute that you step out of that circle into a place where you're no longer loving yourself in order to do for someone else, then you're not helping anybody. That's not beneficial for anybody. Yeah, I would say that's it. Something that I'm grateful for. You know what? Like, I'm really grateful actually that I have cousins, and there's a lot of us, around 21 of us, something like that. And then, God, 7, maybe 10 great grandchildren, like second cousins. But I'm really grateful that I have cousins who are all from my mum's side, because there were 7 of them, who get it, who know what I'm going through, who have experienced the same kind of maladaptive, unhealthy relationship dynamics, family functioning that I have, maybe in different ways, but all kind of plotted in the same thing, all left us feeling the same way. And not only who get it and who want to kind of sympathize with me and bitch with me and all the rest of it, but actually challenge me about the things that I'm doing, about the way that I'm behaving and the same dysregulated patterns of behavior that I'm engaging in that continue to perpetuate this dynamic. I'm really, really grateful for that. So that is a shout out to my cuz for pulling me up and making me see myself in a really clear way. Yeah. Yeah, that's it.
Okay, so what's one way that you've set a boundary that's helped you love yourself more? Share in the comments below, and let's inspire each other to grow. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and follow my journey.